Hey everyone, so I was in the process of replacing my thermostat. In order to do that, you have to disconnect the intake manifold, and to clear some space, I was told to, which I probably shouldn't have because now I realize I don't need to do so. I was told to disconnect this, but I guess the instructions I was following was if you plan to replace the water pump. So I really didn't need to do that, but what happened was I disconnected this little coolant hose that goes to the T, and it broke off because it's a brittle piece of plastic right here. And so what I need to do now is replace this entire line, which is a big pain in the butt because it goes all the way behind the engine right here. And so, all right, so before you tackle this entire job, you might want to consider a few things. So I finally was able to get this hose off, the one that's attached to that T, and onto the coolant hose from the turbo. What happens is if you pretend this is your firewall, the hose is like this from the coolant line from the turbo, and the hose is attached. Let's use the smaller end. It's attached like this, so you pretty much have to clamp down on the hose clamp, pull it out, and then push the hose outwards towards the front of the car. And there, all this time with very little room, it's very challenging. If you noticed right here, there is another hose clamp right here, and this hard line is attached to this. So next time, you might consider just leaving this rubber hose here and just replacing the hard line. It's probably a lot less work. You might still have to take out the firewall heat shield, but it makes probably your life a lot easier. So what you would do is simply clamp down on this one right here. I'm gonna grab this and show you. Here's the hard line. If you were just to replace the hard line, it'll probably make your life a lot easier. Something that I might consider in the future. Sorry, my hands is showing it. So this is the hard line attached to the rubber hose. So you might want to just replace this in the future. In order to get that, you basically have to remove the firewall heat shield. And so if you look right here, there are a few plastic screws holding it down. One right here, another down here, 3 and 4. So once you do that, you're not off the hook yet, because there's actually another bolt holding down the bottom end of the heat shield. So I'll show you the heat shield right here. So those were the 4 that I was telling you about. 1, 2, 3, 4. And the last one goes right here underneath towards where the downpipe is. And so you have to get underneath it. In order to do so, your best bet is to take off your front right wheel. Right here, right above the intercooler pipe, you'll see where the heat shield is attached. You see that little silver? You see this right here? Yeah, right there. That's the bottom end that's holding the heat shield down to kind of the underside of the car. So you'll need to undo the 4 plastic nuts on the top, and then this metal ring on the bottom, and then you can slowly pull out the heat shield. Okay, this is gonna be really tight. So what I did is I have this little device that has a camera attached to a wire, and it is kind of staring down at, you know, kind of in between, right beneath where these hose clamps are. And if you look right here, you can see the hose. And so I need to somehow get my plier and grip onto that, clamp it down, and try to wiggle it out. So let's see. I got it to clamp down. I had to get a locking jaw. So basically what you have to do is take out this fender panel to give yourself some room right here. This will then expose this area right here, where if you look, I got the clamped onto it. So I was going underneath with my hand. Definitely not easy to get the jet locking plier to clamp onto the hose clamp, but just playing around with it, trying perseverance, that finally got me to do it, to clamp down on the hose clamp. Now I just gotta use a screwdriver to push the hose clamp off. So what's nice about the new part is that to put it on, I thought I had to clamp down on the hose clamp to open it up, and then, you know, go in there, make sure it's kept open, slip in the tube or the hose, and then unclamp it. But it looks like it's already pried open through the existing clamp and having it put into that little notch. So now all I have to do is hopefully I can fit it into the fitting from the turbo, slip it right through, and then use a screwdriver to pop it out so that it clamps down. All right, so I had one hell of a time trying to get this into the hose outlets because I only had a little bit of space and I had to try to pull it into the outlet. So I didn't really have enough leverage. So what I ended up doing is making with zip ties a little, I guess, grabber so that it can kind of latch onto the hose, and I can kind of pull right here for it to pull the hose into the outlet. And so what I did was I slipped it all the way through this line, which eventually leads to me hitting it like this. And so it kind of grabs the hose like this, and I'm able to pull from here to kind of push it into the outlet. It took a lot of time and patience. Do not recommend people doing this job if you're not patient. So what I did was I pulled really hard and eventually got it all the way in. So now all I have to do is pry the hose clamp open or get it off this bracket so that it clamps down.